Welcome, everyone. Thanks for your time this afternoon. I'm glad you could join us. We'll wait a few minutes for the room to fill up. In the meantime, I'll direct your attention to the chat function on the right-hand side. Robin Shannon, good to see you. Glad you could join us. Longtime fan of Robin's. Appreciate you visiting us at Summit last year. Excellent presentation. A topical conversation today for you. Yeah, so feel free to introduce yourself. Also familiarize yourself. If you have a question you'd like our speakers to answer, there is a Q&A tab in the chat. You can drop those there. You can also drop them in the general chat, and we'll do our best to kind of filter those. Again, we'll wait just a few minutes for the room to fill up before we pass to Chris and Eric for the topic at hand. For those of you just joining, we're going to give it one more minute for the room to fill up. Feel free to introduce yourself in the chat located on the right-hand side of your screen. If at any time you have questions throughout the webinar, that's a great place to drop those as well. We will have a Q&A toward the end of the call where Chris and Eric will try and address all of the questions you have. We're excited to get started and share new career concourse functionality with you. We'll give it just another minute before we kick off. All right, good afternoon, good morning for our friends on the West Coast. Thank you all for joining us. My name is Andrew Sporer. I'm the Director of Marketing and Communication here at Chmura Economics and Analytics. Today, I'm excited to introduce Chmura's CEO and Chief Economist, Dr. Chris Chmura, as well as our account executive specializing in education, higher education, CTE, Eric Boyle as well. We're going to preview some new career concourse functionality, as well as talk about the future of work and how those in education can connect their students to success with quality data, accurate forecasting, and some new functionality that we've added to the Jobs EQ software platform. Before we get started, I'd like to cover just a few housekeeping items and give you all a brief overview of our organization if you're not already familiar. As a reminder, the presentation slides and a recording to the webinar will be forwarded to all of you who registered today. We'll do that shortly after the call. You can also visit our website under the resources tab and access all of our webinars there. We're here today to discuss the future of work and how AI might play a role in that, how educators can help guide students using data and accurate forecasting to help them land successful careers, utilizing some of the tools available in Jobs EQ. If you've got specific questions about market trends, occupation, or industry growth, or anything else, please do utilize that chat box. We see a lot of greetings and hellos and introductions happening there now, and that's marvelous. That's on the right-hand side of your screen. Near the end of the call, we're going to have a short Q&A where we'll try and work our way through as many of the questions there as we can. Before we dig in, I'd like to share just a bit more about us. If you aren't familiar, Chimera provides labor market data and analysis through three main offerings: our Jobs EQ software, which we'll talk about today, consulting services, and access to that data. We were founded in 1998 by our CEO, Chris Chimera, joining us on call today, currently celebrating our 25th anniversary. So congratulations to Chris and all who helped make that milestone possible. We have two offices, one in Cleveland, Ohio, and another in Richmond, Virginia, from where we are broadcasting today. But we do serve hundreds of clients all across the country. If you're in Cleveland or Richmond, feel free to swing by, say hello. We'd love to see you. As a team, we care deeply about helping our customers grow their businesses and their communities. We like to say that we share in our customers' success. So our goal is really your satisfaction and your growth. All the feedback that you provide us, critical in helping us achieve that mission. And lastly, we're driven by excellence in customer service, in data quality, and really in everything we do. I like to think that's what differentiates us most as an organization. In the data we offer, in our customer support, and the quality of our analytics and consulting services, excellence has always been our top priority and informs all of the decisions that we make. That commitment has translated to an over 90% annual renewal rate for our Jobs EQ customers. Thank you so much. This is testament to, I think, our ongoing partnership, the communication that we maintain with them, and all the feedback that they provide. Speaking of our customers, the labor market data, software, consulting services that we offer can benefit a wide range of industries, from corporate clients who need competitive analysis and benchmarking to our partners in economic development, seeking insights on labor availability. We see some of you in the chat today. For our higher education partners who need labor market data to plan academic offerings, so glad you could join us, many of you here today as well. For those in site selection who need to compare wages, average commute time between locations, for staffing agencies, for example, talent acquisition professionals who are looking for potential customers, wage insights, information on who's hiring and for what roles, or for those in workforce development as well, who need to track real-time changes in the economy to identify which occupations and skills will provide the most opportunity for the workforce. Here's just a quick snapshot of some of our customers. In addition to our powerful labor market information and analytics, we also offer full-service economic consulting. You can get a taste of those insights with our free weekly economic update. Each week, our consulting team, led by blue chip and PhD economists, deliver the economic headlines and key takeaways straight to your inbox. This is a huge value add, and it's a document that I've really grown to love. We share some of that on our social media as well. Do be sure to follow us there. I'll drop our LinkedIn in the chat. It's a great way to stay in touch and to stay current with us. And by the way, to subscribe to the newsletter, it's right up there at the top, chimera.com/WEU. Now onto the subject that you've been waiting for. I'd like to introduce our founder and CEO, Dr. Chris Chimera, who will discuss the future of work and how educators can remain agile in a shifting labor market. Dr. Chimera will examine current market trends, including key drivers like AI, and forecast their potential impacts. Joining her is our account executive, Eric Boyle, who will showcase our newly upgraded career Concourse. With this intuitive new technology, you can explore future career outlooks, research wages, occupations, required skills, and more. Eric's going to demonstrate that live. He'll show you how to use the tool, featuring emerging career paths and priority programs to assess students' skills and interests and drive recruitment and ultimately enrollment. Career Concourse allows students to discover academic programs, understand the skills needed to break into a career field, and quickly build and save professional, ready-to-submit resumes with the included resume builder tool. Okay, without further ado, Chris.
Thanks very much.
Pass it off to you.
Okay, thanks very much, Andrew. Okay, in terms of today's agenda, we'll be looking at the future of work, as Andrew has already said, from a big picture point of view. Every region has different needs in terms of skills in their state and in their region, and those are based on several different drivers. Let me go to that page. Actually, Shari, this is not the page I was expecting, so let me go back and give you an overview here. In terms of a big picture, there are several different drivers that can shape your jobs of the future. So if you're trying to forecast growth, you need to think of how will these drivers shape my localities? And those drivers are technology. And as Andrew said, we'll be spending most of our time looking at AI firms or AI skills. But some other technology that's driving different regions to grow at different rates is cyber, hybrid electric vehicles. Regulations also drive employment growth in your state. So how quickly is your state moving toward green energy has an impact on the growth of your state. And then the ecosystem overall, for example, demographics, the aging baby boomers, business cycles, depending on where we are in the cycle. If your region is more dependent on manufacturing, then in that case, your region is going to be more at risk. So what we're going to do after we look at the future of AI, we'll look at the definition of AI, what occupations are at greatest risk, what MSAs have the most AI opportunities, and then finally, Eric will be here to talk to you about the Career Concourse and give you a live demo of the Career Concourse. So with that, then the future of work driven by AI. First, the definition of AI. And so from an educator's perspective, you're trying to prepare students with skills that employers need. And so one way to think about AI is from two different perspectives, like the left and the right side of your brain. So on the left side, you've got predictive AI, and these are analytical tasks that I think we've thought of more so in the past that we need in the future in terms of pricing, using historical data to predict future trends, dynamic pricing. And so here, what are you teaching? Statistical analysis, econometrics. Of course, math is very important, computer programming. And then when we go to the right side, generative AI. So essentially, we have large language models with algorithms that mimic human language and skills. So this is like automating tasks. So here you're looking at generative AI recognizing patterns and helping programmers, for example, write code or find errors. On the bottom there, we're looking at HR and legal documentation creation, and that could be things like generative AI takes research or historical documents to craft similar documents for different clients, or summarizes large documents into a easier to digest couple of paragraphs that can be used in a case, for example. So then going toward the middle, or to think first about, well, what skills should you be teaching, or what classes should you be teaching to make students ready? Python, so maybe new ones, machine learning, actually not all that new because that's been used for decades. Probability theory might be important on the generative AI side. And then in the middle there, it's not just tech that generative AI and predictive AI is touching. It touches many different departments. So you need to make sure that marketing and sales is able to use AI tools. Product development and support functions all need to be using AI tools. So clearly, this is having a big impact on the type of skills students need to have as they're going through classes and exiting into the world to find jobs. So for this webinar, I'm basically relying on two blogs that we wrote. The first one we wrote about a year ago, and it's shown at the bottom if you want to click on it later and read it in detail. And it builds off a study by Goldman Sachs, which I've shown there below with the asterisk, and I really recommend reading it. It's about 19 pages, but it's a very good report on AI. And basically, they conclude that 25% of work tasks in the U.S. can be automated by AI. And how do they do that? Well, the BLS, Bureau of Labor Statistics, has something called ONET, where they identify the tasks or the duties that are related to 900 occupations. So they identify all the tasks and the importance of those tasks within the occupations. So as an example, you may have a mail clerk, and a task would be to verify that an address is correct and marked with the proper postage. Or another task of a mail clerk is to affix postage to a package using meters. And so from the study that Goldman Sachs did, they concluded that this is an occupation that likely could go away because of AI. But then a bioengineer, one of the tasks of a bioengineer is to design or adapt computer hardware on software for medical science users. And you could see that this one could be animated or automated to some degree, but not clearly the whole job going away because of AI. So they identified the jobs, the risk of each job at a detailed level, for example, for the bioengineer or mail clerk. And then they summed it up in the study to give us the overall amount of risk within these major job occupations. So office and administrative support, 46% at risk for automation, legal, 44%, architecture and engineering, 37%, life sciences, 36%, and business and financial operations are 35% at risk. But the bottom line is that only a small percentage is predicted to be totally replaced by AI, and that's 7%. 30% of all jobs are not all expected to be impacted, and that means the remaining 63% will see a small impact from AI, but the good news is it will increase productivity. So now we're looking at work tasks most affected by AI. And here on this chart, first in yellow, well, actually, let's go to the bottom. At first, you see the exposure percentage of tasks. So what percentage of the task is potentially going to be replaced by AI? 50% is the highest that they have here. If you're looking at the yellow ones, these are less than 10%. And for the most part, these are occupations that have to be performed outside, or you have to be in front of a machine. So there's a very low risk of production, repair, construction, or building groundskeepers occupations being replaced by AI. The black ones, on the other hand, are jobs that are in broad categories with higher risk of being replaced by AI. And as I mentioned earlier, the mail clerk would be in one of these categories under the office administrative support. And then, of course, the orange ones are those that probably some of the tasks within those jobs will be replaced or supplemented with AI, but the overall occupation will not go away. So the bottom line of this slide is that there's good news here, that AI will boost productivity, which leads to increased wages and increased standards of living in the U.S. So overall, the news from this AI revolution is one that will be ultimately positive for the overall growth of the U.S. On this next slide, we're looking at the impact of AI from a geographic perspective, and it varies by region. So what we did is we took the AI exposure by occupation from the Goldman Sachs study and translated it into the percentage of jobs displaced by AI by state over the next 10 years. And in this case, the darker orange areas show the greater loss. The greatest loss was in the District of Columbia, and that's because of the high percentage of government contractors and government jobs in that region. Also, you see darker orange with greater losses in South Carolina, Tennessee, Utah, which all have 6.9 or 7% at risk because of AI. And in those states, you have a higher percentage of office and administrative and support jobs. But then the least amount of risk comes in the lightest orange area, which is Wyoming and North Dakota. And the reason why it is so low is because of the mining activity that is so prevalent in those two states. Now I'm going to switch to our second blog that actually was released today. And we'll give you the site where you can find that. So AI will probably cause some occupations to go away, but then on the other hand, we are going to see some new occupations because of AI. Some of the new titles are AI trainers, AI auditors, ethicists, machine managers, and here in our job postings, I'm showing you AI trainers. The blue line shows you job posts this year, up around 150 in the latest for the US, and it was near zero last year this time. This is, for those of you who have JobsEQ, this is within JobsEQ. We spider over 40,000 sites. We do duplicate it daily and make it available to our clients. For those of you who do have JobsEQ, take a look at ChatGPT. If you just put that in the search engine to see how many occupations or how many job ads today have ChatGPT in it. Today, I looked at it just a little while ago, it was 2,000, but in June of last year, there were only 5 ads with ChatGPT in it. And again, today, that term is returning 2,000 ads. So in addition to the job postings, we also have resumes. So based on that, we can look at the supply of AI skills, that is from the resumes, and we could look at the demand from the job postings that I'm showing here by region. So as background to this slide, one reason why you might be interested in it, JLL recent article said that 87% of executives say their businesses are struggling to find people with AI skills. So if you need AI skills, it's important to know where to find them, or if your students have AI skills and want to know where to find a job, it's important to see where you can find those jobs. So on this map, we use resumes and job postings to identify the supply of AI skills, that is the number of people, and AI demand from firms by MSA. So first, to orient you on this, the larger the circle, the more job ads there are for AI over the last 12 months. The blue circles are areas or MSAs where the resumes with AI skills are equal to or greater than the AI job posts. So in other words, there's a supply of AI workers. And then the darker, the orange and the orange circles represent areas where the online resumes are less than online ads. In other words, employers might have a harder time filling AI positions in those regions. So first, it's hard to see this, but DC is the largest MSA with the greatest shortage. So you can see a large, dark orange circle on the right-hand side hovering over DC. But on the other hand, the dark blue, and this was kind of surprising to me, the greatest surpluses are on the West Coast. The two greatest are San Francisco and Seattle. And then over on the East Coast, Boston is a sort of a large blue circle, but that's an interesting one where the number of AI resumes equals the AI job as if the region is at equilibrium. So on the next few slides, we're going to break out some interesting trends in the top MSAs. So first, and not surprisingly, the largest MSAs have the most openings for the AI jobs. So looking first at the second column of numbers, I've ranked these MSAs based on the number of active job ads over the last 12 months. You can see New York is at the top. And then the column before that shows you the median wage. And so notice that these AI jobs pay very good wages. And then third, if you go to the last column there, the resume to job ad ratio. So as you saw in the earlier map, not all MSAs are prepared for the AI boom in skills that are needed. If we look at the larger the number, the bigger the surplus that you have. So San Francisco and Los Angeles, note with the orange arrows, they have 1.53. That's a pretty good surplus. So if you are looking for people to work in AI, San Francisco is the first place to look. And then secondly, you see Los Angeles with a 1.3 ratio. You also have Seattle that is slightly positive. That's the fourth down with a 1.07. And then, as I said earlier, Boston, I think that's number 6, is exactly 1. So for every job, for every resume with AI skills, they have a job ad with needing AI skills. But on the other hand, the biggest shortages are in Washington, D.C. The resume to job ad ratio is only 0.37, and that is similar to what you see in Dallas, Fort Worth, where there's 0.37. So another interesting thing that we found is that the smaller college towns dominate where the AI skills outstrip demand. In some way, this should be seems like it should have been obvious. That is in these college towns, you're graduating a lot of students with AI skills. And if we look at the active resume column, you could see, for example, the largest numbers, University of Illinois at 600, followed by Purdue graduating with 393 active resumes, and then Cornell with 304. And the last column, you can see that the resume of job ads, the resume to job ad ratios are very large, meaning that there's a pretty good surplus of AI skilled individuals in these regions. One final table here is that the medium to large MSAs, which we're defining as 500,000 or more, the supply of AI skills outstrip demand is mixed, and between tech hubs and some other emerging areas for AI skills. So you can see, again, where I've highlighted the tech hubs with the orange arrows, San Francisco, San Diego, and Los Angeles, all with pretty strong numbers, but some other strong resume job ad numbers in smaller regions, such as Akron at the top, where there's 303 active resumes for AI skills, Rochester with 407, and Madison, Wisconsin with 512. So in summary then, AI is predicted to replace a small number of jobs, 7% according to the Goldman Sachs report, but it will boost productivity for many jobs, and that's about 63% from the analysis they did. And the skills needed, as you've seen on the charts on the maps that we've shown here, are going to vary greatly by state and region. So from this perspective, educators should be focusing on skills, not occupations, in order to help students find the demands that they need or the jobs that they need for the future. One statistic, a study by David Otter and a few other folks, they looked at the changes in the type of work performed between 1940 and 2018, and they found that 60% of workers employed in 2018 were in occupations that did not exist in 1940. So another good reason why it's important to focus on skills that move from one occupation to another rather than an occupation when we're looking at what is going to be in demand in the future. And then finally, the Career Concourse can help students identify their interests and point them towards skills that are in demand. So with that, I am going to turn this over to Eric to give you a demo of the Career Concourse.
Thank you, Dr. Chmura, and hello, everyone. It is a pleasure to meet with you here today, and I appreciate you guys taking the time to meet with us and share the excitement around the update that we have for Career Concourse 3.0. So without further ado, I'll go ahead and I'll start sharing my screen. And this is the homepage that we have for the newly updated Career Concourse 3.0. We've made it very easy for students to navigate through the platform here, as this is the homepage, broken up under all these different headers where students are able to explore the programs specific to your institution and the career paths that they lead to out of those programs. We have the required assessments that will align their students' interests and values with potential career paths that meet and match those the answers within those assessments. Students will even have the ability, if they have a military background, to see those career paths that relate most of their past experience within the 5 different branches of the military. And then a new resume builder tool here on the platform that is made for students to create and download those professional resumes, as we are going to be connecting them with those real-time job postings and those job opportunities from our real-time intelligence tool, as Dr. Chmura mentioned, pulling from over 45,000 sources. So really excited to walk through the platform here today and show you what those changes are that we've made here. But where we're going to start are the programs. So as we jump in, you're going to see a full list of programs. And this is going to be specific to your institution. So this is fully customizable, where we are going to be able to highlight only those programs that your institution offers. In the top right, you're going to see it says all campus locations. If I click that drop down, we're going to have the downtown and Kent locations as well, because that is something we can break that up. If there are multiple campus locations, we can specify that within Career Concourse and make sure that is particular or noting those programs particularly offered across those different campuses. So as an example, as I click downtown and then I click Kent, you can see that those differ. But once we jump into, and actually I'm going to click back to our all campus locations, I'm going to explore the artificial intelligence program here today, just kind of staying on the topic of conversation. But once you click in that program, it's going to provide you just a little bit more information on the career paths that are related to the program offered here. First, you can see that there is going to be the option to actually link a couple pages here on the platform from your institution. So if you click more info, or if you have the more info tab, that is where you can actually link this to go directly to that program page, where students can then find more information on that program right there and then apply. This is where prospective students can actually click that button, and it takes them directly to the application page for your institution. Then you can see that I have hearted artificial intelligence. That means that I have favorited this program. So students are able to keep track and keep tabs on their favorite programs very easily. And then they can even download this information with these the related careers that populate. You can easily download that information, and students can have that for their files. As you can see too, this program is only going to be offered at the Kent location for our example. So this is actually even going to note whether are the specific campuses that these programs are offered at. And then as we scroll down, you have your related career paths. So it's going to provide you those occupation titles or the actual occupation, a little background information, or even a description of that career, the number of job postings. And this is going to be within the last 30 days. And this is coming directly from that real-time intelligence tool that Dr. Chmura mentioned, pulling from over 45,000 sources. And that is being deduplicated, or those job postings are being deduplicated, and that is all being updated daily. So really giving your students a live pulse on the job market. And then the entry-level wage is also going to be provided. But students are going to be able to jump into these career pages. So just using software developers here as an example, we click in, you have that definition or explanation up there at the top. But this is where students are going to have a little bit more of an in-depth look, or a little bit more access to some labor market information specific to this career path. And we make sure that this information is supplied in a very easily and digestible format, so students can really best understand those bright outlooks from these careers. So as we scroll down, students are going to be able to see the wages that can be broken up into annual or hourly. It's going to provide that median wage, but students can at least understand that scope of opportunity that they have. So on that first page that we were just looking at, you have that entry-level wage typically, or that average entry-level wage. But then you can understand that scope of the opportunity within a career. The educational attainment within your region is going to be provided. So then students can understand that education level that is most commonly obtained within this field. You have current employment within the occupation, the annual demand, and if you hover over this information tab, that is going to highlight that this is the total forecasted change in employment, including separations, which means those retirements and workers leaving this occupation for another, and that growth demand over the next year. So giving you that annual demand, and then those job postings over the last 30 days. We do understand, though, that just to be a software developer, there is not one path. Students can take many different paths to enter in a certain career. So students can see those related programs. So you can easily click into another program, takes you directly to those related careers right there. So where then you can further explore. But just clicking back as that example, then you scroll down and students are actually connected with the job market. And this is where we are pulling those real-time job postings and connecting your students directly with those ads. So as we see, you have your top 5 employers related to this field. And if you actually click one of those employers, it's going to give you just those job postings specific to this occupation here, or this career path. But what is going to be supplied are the 100 most recent job postings tied to this occupation or this career path. And the information that's going to be provided are the job titles directly listed in that ad, the employer directly right under there, where this job posting is located, and then just really the first little excerpt or the blurb from the job posting is going to be provided there as well, with when that posting was posted out by the employer, whether it's a full-time, part-time, remote, temporary position, and if there is any wage information. That is also going to be provided and listed here. But students can click this view details, and they are going to be directed to the ad via Jobs EQ. But then you can see the apply at original source. You click that, and then that will take your students directly to that source that we've pulled this job ad from, where then they can apply right there. And as I will show you here in the next few minutes, they will be able to use those resumes created on the Career Concourse platform to apply. But as I kind of go back here to the Career Concourse platform, as I mentioned, this is the 100 most recent job postings tied to these occupations. But there is an option for an additional solution, and that is the job search feature. So up here, the job search tab, this is where we are actually really connecting the entire real-time intelligence tool that is in Jobs EQ, so the Jobs Connector widget, and putting this in the hands of your students to help them find their career paths. So as you can see now, we have access to a little over 57,000 job postings total within our region that we have set up on the platform. But students are going to be able to search by job title, keyword, skills or certifications, and even company. But so maybe as an example, we want to search artificial intelligence as a keyword within these job postings. Now 140 results have populated, and that is specific to what we would like to look at within the artificial intelligence. And that you can also even change to skills or certifications, and maybe say you want to see Python as a skill or certification. You would be able to enter that in and then have those job postings specifically noting that that is a skill or certification that they are seeking out of the employers or out of the labor force. Students will also have the ability to explore careers in a few other ways. One being those really the required assessments based on the interest and the values. So I'm just going to kind of walk through here real quick. I'm just kind of noting whether things are very important, somewhat important, or little or no importance to me. So you can see how your answers affect those opportunities that are generated. So as I just kind of click through, now you can see those results have populated based on my answers, giving you those values ranked by how you valued them or how you answered those questions. The more info here, this is going to provide you definitions of those values or the interests. That way everybody's on the same page and you have a full understanding of what exactly that means. But this is where students can see those relevant careers based on those values or the interest, the way they answer those questions. If you click in, you can then explore those career pages directly there. And then one of the last ways that students can really explore those career paths is the military and their background and their past experience within the military. So as you can see, we have all 5 branches listed out, but maybe say I was a financial manager within the Army. You go and you find your position, and this is linking that MOC code to SOC codes. You can see, based off of your past experience, what that position looks like, or what those careers paths that are most related and tied to your past experience are. Then, with Career Concourse, we are connecting your students with all of these real-time job posting opportunities, or real-time job opportunities, but we also understand many students are in need of help building those resumes in order to apply for these jobs as they enter the workforce and they wrap up those degrees or they wrap up their schooling. So within the Resume Builder tool, this is where students can do just that. So if you actually click New Resume, it just gives you a blank template that you can easily fill out. But as I go back, I've already kind of filled one out here. So you have your contact information. In this case, I am an aspiring IT support specialist with a bachelor's degree in computer science. I was an intern at Chmura Economics and Analytics, and I went to Chmura University. I had a B+ that ruined my 4.0 grade average. And then you have your skills, certifications. All of that information is available for your students to easily put in these resumes. They can even connect their LinkedIn profiles or any kind of professional profiles that they have. They can include those links there. And students can then easily save those resumes and then download those resumes as well. So then they can easily use those to apply for those positions. But the way I like to explain it here as well, maybe say a student has multiple different career paths that they're interested in. They can create multiple different resumes that they can save here on the platform and use those different resumes to apply across those different opportunities. So just a very helpful resource here. But with Career Concourse, it's going to provide a lot of admin access for you and your team. And your career services team here will be able to track and verify those resumes students are creating. But this actually really leads me to the admin access and those tools and really what that entails for you and your team. So as I just clicked in this top right corner, took me to the admin tools. And this is where we really provide your team the ability to track the top users of the platform and the top students using the platform, top programs and careers explored, the actual top searches. So in this case, you can see those MOC codes or the SIP code that was being searched. And then even actually that user activity. So it was just tracking as I moved along the platform. You can follow along and see that direct activity there. You have a full list of the users and the assessment results. So again, you can even see and keep tabs on what is most important to my students, or really what do they value, what are they interested in, and just really kind of making sure that it's a more effective way in staying in touch with your students and those opportunities and what's important to them. Then, last but not least, I've saved the widget builder. This is a tool that we have really created to help with you and your team highlighting the programs as well as the careers that come from the programs that your institution offers. So you can actually get started very easily here on the platform. If you click new widget, brings up select a template. You can either actually have a blank template or all of the programs are here for you to select. So just kind of showing you what that looks like, selecting accounting. You build out your widget. It provides you all of the career paths that are associated to this program. You can easily remove. You can even actually add some additional careers if you make those connections or find students are going into a career that's not reflected from this program. And then you can easily edit and adjust those images here. But to show you an example that we do have, the artificial intelligence program. So we have our career paths highlighted here. As we click through, you can see that we have selected pictures and posted them in our widgets. You can easily edit, replace, and delete those images, but you can see the information that's going to be provided within those widgets here. That is the median salary, current employment, and the number of active job postings. So students can understand what that opportunity looks like in the job market currently. And then if you click embed code, this is where you can easily copy that code, embed that within your program pages, and then giving you the ability to, again, highlight those career paths that come from the programs. And this is specific to your institution. And again, fully customizable here for you, but really helping with those recruitment and enrollment efforts as well. But that is really a lot that I'd like to show you here today within the Career Concourse platform and a large update that we've made. And I will stop sharing my screen here, or I have stopped sharing my screen. But that is really the large update here that we'd like to make, helping you and your team with helping your students really with the program and career exploration, connecting them directly with the real-time job postings and those opportunities out there, giving you and your career services teams those tools to help with really most effectively working with your students to help them find those career paths and guide them to those bright outlooks. And then really helping your team with marketing those programs and highlighting those career paths that come from the degrees and the awards earned at your institution. So really do thank you for your time and as well that extensive admin access. So one thing I did not note with that extensive admin access, this is something that you can also hook up to Google Analytics. So you have all those admin tools where you're tracking the usage of the platform, but you also can link this up so you can get a little bit deeper of a dive into your students and understand what is important to them and what they're looking at. But thank you really for everybody's time. I really do appreciate it. And I will pass it back over to Dr. Chmura.
Thanks, Eric. Great job. One other question I think that this audience might be interested in, and that is, with AI, or here I have an example with cyber. So the BLS tracks some 900 different occupations, but AI, generative AI, those are all new skills, new occupations that are not yet being tracked. And so cyber is one that I was interested in, and I looked at it in blue again in our job postings is the trend this year. In gray is the job postings over the last year or so. And in 2007, there were 38,000 job ads looking for cyber skills. In May 22, 68,000. September 22 peaked at 75,000. The latest number showing 62,000. And I bring this up because when I look at curriculum, so most schools have to go to their state agency, or if they're a private sector school, to their board before they could have a curriculum added. So here are the graduates from all programs in the U.S. And here, notice cyber defense curriculum, this zip code here, 43, did not even start graduating students until 2020, even though we have all that demand for cyber. Forensics started graduating students in 2010, and then cyber electronic operations started graduating in 2010 as well. So can you show us within Jobs EQ an easy way for the educators to identify whether in fact there is demand in their region or state for different curriculums such as those based on cyber?
Yes, I can, Dr. Chmura, and I will go ahead and I will share my screen again. You guys thought that you got rid of me here, but now I am back. And this is the education report that comes directly from Jobs EQ. We do have a few off-the-shelf reporting capabilities or different options that we offer, but this is one that we've created and really put together to help with that program development or even program evaluation, to understand really what that demand looks like and is it still relevant to what's needed out there with the labor force. So sticking on the topic of conversation, we have run this for the Cyber, Computer Forensics, and Counterterrorism program, and we have selected our region to be the state of Pennsylvania, just for our sake of example here today. But as we scroll through, that is your cover page, and you can actually add your school crest or the school logo here. You can customize that and doctor that up a little bit. You have your table of contents, just showing you what's going to be here in the report. As we get started, giving you that zip code and the definition of the program that we're going to be looking into. But what's first really going to be provided from the platform, and kind of note here, we are scraping together from a bunch of different analytics from Jobs EQ and giving you this report in typically about a minute. And you can use that platform as you're downloading the report here. But this is going to show you all of the institutions within the region that you're running the report for that offer this same program. And it's even going to give you those awards that have been earned. So you can see anywhere from the certificate and 2-year awards all the way to post-grad, with that average net price is going to be provided too. So you can understand what degrees are already currently being earned. And then giving you the SIP to SOP crosswalk. So there's occupations most closely tied here to the program with the education and training requirements. And this is all the way down to that 6-digit SOC, so giving you that detailed look at these occupations. The educational attainment, and this is going to be specific within these occupations, and in this case, within Pennsylvania. Then you have your definitions of those SOC codes and those occupations there. In current employment and mean annual wages, so really giving you an outlook on employment within these occupations. You also see the location quotient, unemployment statistics, the number of online job postings tied to these occupations over the last 30 days. But then you also have that 3-year historical trend for the annual percentage, and then the 7-year forecast. So in this case, giving you that total demand, which is going to be your sum of these 3 columns here. Exits meaning retirements, transfers being workers leaving this occupation for another, and employment growth or decline. So all 3 of those added up, giving you that total demand, and then your average annual growth percentage here. This being a visual of that 3-year historical, and then the 7-year projected forecast. Within those occupations, though, this is showing you the industry distribution for occupations linked to the cyber, computer forensics, and counterterrorism program. So it's going to show you the percentage of these occupations employed across these different industries, with employment in those industries, as well as that 10-year demand. Then, across the state of Pennsylvania, this is going to show you employment by place of work with those top counties, with employment linked to the program that we're querying here. And this is as of Q4 of 2023. The demographic profile, so it's going to use our region that we're running the report for and show you the U.S. as a comparison. So gender, age, population growth, educational attainment, even some social data going to be provided there for you. And then lastly, really as we wrap up the education report, scraping those job postings that are relevant to the occupations tied to this program with this week over week, year over year trend line showing you the pulse of the job market compared to where it was last year. And then you can see those top 10 occupations with the number of job postings, where those job postings are located, the top employers advertising for these jobs with the certifications, hard skills, and soft skills that they are looking for. So in this case, you can really understand what are employers seeking out of the labor force, and are we incorporating these skills and certifications into our trainings and programs? The direct job titles listed in those ads with the job types. And then lastly, the programs that they are actually offering, or not offering, but asking for, or asking to be completed with those minimum education levels. And then as you wrap up that education report, giving you the regional map, in this case, the entire state of Pennsylvania, with any frequently asked questions, just to help you better understand some of this information. But that is the education report. So again, I'll stop sharing my screen and I will pass it back to Dr. Chmura.
Thanks, Eric. There are a couple questions for you in the chat, but while you're looking at them, I see one from Crystal, a good question. For the AI active job ads, have you found that the education requirements lean more skills-based, or are degrees, certifications still required? That would take a little more time to try to find an answer to, but what I did do very quickly was I looked at the job ads and I used the words that Mike Chmura did in his blog, artificial intelligence, machine learning, and chat GPT, I think was the last one. And I found in the US 326,000 ads over the past year. And then I changed the query and said, only show me those job ads that require only a high school degree or equivalent. And it returned 10,200 job ads. So 3.1% of all the ads only require a high school degree. So the vast majority do require some sort of degree. However, I did also query ads that require only high school diploma, or it's unspecified. They don't tell you what degree requirement, if there is any degree requirement. And 35% of the ads came back with unspecified or only high school needed. And it could be in the unspecified, they don't require a degree or they had a certification, but it's not as clear. So to answer your question, about 3% of all the ads with the AI words that we've used don't require a college degree, but just a high school degree. And I also saw Rory ask some questions. It seems he's always asking some good questions about the keywords that we use to search artificial intelligence. And for those of you interested, the blog that we are releasing today has the keyword filters and the occupation filters for both the job postings and resume analysis, so that you can query it and get answers for your region. And then, Eric, I saw one question about how is the region for Career Concourse defined?
Yes, I was trying to figure out how to respond in the chat, but I'm not very good at it. So the region for Career Concourse being defined is really that is fully customizable to you. It's based on the Jobs EQ package that you currently have. Career Concourse is also offered as a standalone product where you don't necessarily need to have the Jobs EQ package. But that is really defined on how you would like it to be defined. It's fully customizable. That's something that we're always willing to work with you on.
And then here's one. It's either for you, Eric, or the audience as a whole, from Mary Jackson. Is anyone aware of which post-secondary institutions are already at the forefront of providing the training necessary for all or most of the AI skills mentioned? And Eric, if you know a way to find an answer to that in Jobs EQ, maybe you can just describe that for those who want to try to answer that question.
Yes, that's it. Pretty much exactly what I was going to do, because I do not know off the top of my head, but where you can find that would be going to the awards analytic and searching some of those cyber programs or some of those zip codes that are most kind of related to or most frequently teaching those AI skills. Another way that you could do that is going into the real-time intelligence tool, going in the keyword search and searching some of those AI skills, and then seeing what programs that employers are seeking from the labor force, and then searching that program within the awards analytics. So that would be my best, suggestion on how to look into that information on Jobs EQ.
Thanks, Eric. With that, we will pass it back to Andrew.
Thank you both. Eric, fantastic job on the demo. 2 notes for our guests. We were able to push that AI blog that we had been referencing. That link is in the chat. We will include that in our follow-up email to you all as well as the other resources that Chris had cited in her presentation. At this point, if you're interested in seeing more, there's a link to our demo. You can get with Eric or another one of our account executives to learn more about how you can leverage Career Concourse for your organization, for your institution. Pretty powerful stuff. Really looking forward to getting this in your hands and connecting students with those opportunities in your region. Again, the link to the recording of this call and the slides will be distributed here shortly. Thank you so much, everyone, for joining. Chris, Eric, thank you both. Really nice to see this out in the open now. And with that, we'll part. Enjoy your afternoons.